And PhD students should not be using ChatGPT. Now notice I didn't say AI.
My biggest hot take is that if you are a college student, you should not be using ChatGPT. But you notice how I didn't say AI?
My biggest hot take is if you're a master's or PhD student, you should not be using ChatGPT. Notice how I didn't say AI though?
My biggest hot take is that if you're a university student, you should never be using ChatGPT. Notice how I didn't say AI.
Hot take, but if you're in college, you should not be using ChatGPT. Now, I get that it might have worked in high school, but if you're in college, and especially if you're doing research, no. Luckily, one of the master students that's in my research lab with me, she showed me this website that's actually made for doing research.
Okay, hot take, but PhD and master students should not be using ChatGPT.
In case that didn't make it incredibly obvious to you, there is an awful lot of undisclosed sponsored content on social media, especially on TikTok. This is one of the reasons that I push very strongly for a creator code of ethics. And I think included in that code of ethics should be the obligation that creators disclose when they are being paid by outside entities to support a business or an idea, a political position. I got dragged all to hell for saying that chorus creators should have been disclosing that they were being paid as much as $8,000 a month and being coached every single day by Brian Tyler Cohen. And I know that they said we're not being told what to say. But when you're meeting with somebody who's sharing ideas with you and shaping the kind of content that you make, when you're working for somebody who's giving you access to elected officials, and I know I've bitched about this in the past on Blue Sky, chorus creators can get access to my senator and my congresswoman to interview them, and I can't get access to them. Money buys access and money buys influence. Influencers are here to influence you to change your mind, to get you to support something, oppose something, purchase something, take an action. And if outside money is funding that creator, they should be obligated to disclose that, even if they don't think it's actually influencing their opinion. Now, not all of these corporations are exactly the same as this one here, which clearly was giving their creators a script that they had to abide by. And I honestly feel sorry for the creators featured in this montage, because you can see that their videos don't have very many likes. These are not big creators with a big audience, or at least these videos are not getting mad views. And most of these corporations pay per view. And I want to talk about how I know that in just a second. But watching content like this, once you see a couple of them, you realize oh yeah, they're clearly being paid in some way, whether it is for the specific video or whether it's a flat contract. There's clearly a bid, there's clearly a pitch that they've accepted, and they are following a script. I was watching this video with my daughters last night, and they were like, what are these girls doing with this food?
Students should not be using ChatGPT. Now notice how I didn't say AI, because
My biggest hot take is that if you're a master's or PhD student, you should not be using ChatGPT. You notice how I did not say AI?
My biggest hot take is if you're a master's or doctoral student, you shouldn't be using ChatGPT. Notice how
I think most of y'all should be using
is that if
knives.
you're a PhD or master's student, you should not be using ChatGPT. Notice how I didn't say AI?
My biggest hot take is that if you're a master's or PhD student, you should not be using ChatGPT. Notice how I didn't say AI because
My biggest hot take that if you're a college student, you should not be using ChatGPT. But notice how I didn't say AI? That's
Those last two, what are you doing, girl? Just moving cookies around from dish to dish with a pair of tongs. And then the last one, open fridge, your camera's playing in it, and you have an open bowl of mac and cheese that you just take out of the fridge and start eating. That was such a weird setup. My eldest said, oh, it's giving shaking ketchup in Twilight. But also, did you listen to what these young women had to say? My biggest hot take. Some of them had text that was like, in doing my research. No, girl, you were given a script to read. You were paid. This is not your authentic content. And this is my gripe with all of this money behind the scenes that none of us are exposed to. We are watching social media creators because we think we are watching somebody produce organic content, that it's their own personal opinion, their own analysis, their own recommendations. And when influencers recommend something and we have this parasocial relationship going on with them, if we think, like this is a trusted creator, I like them, I'm invested in them, I'm a fan of theirs, and if they're talking up this product or this topic or this politician, I'm going to listen. That is the nature of social media influencing. So if we find out that their opinion is not their own organic opinion and they are being paid to promote that product or that idea, that service, that political position, and if we don't know who's funding that, is that dark money? Is that dark money that also funded RFK Jr.'s presidential campaign? Is that dark money from some billionaire who definitely does not have our interest at heart? erodes our trust in that creator. And also, like, it just, oh God, it's just such an ethical conflict. Creators should be disclosing. We should have a code of conduct, a code of ethics. And earlier in this video, I said I know a fair amount about this now, because now that I've become quite a large creator on YouTube, I have, I think, like 420 something thousand subscribers over there. And combined on TikTok, I have like, more than 250,000 followers over here. I get a lot more offers. A year ago, I would get occasional emails for sponsorships. It really started to pick up in the last 8 months. I get several a week. Some of them are, will you promote our product? If you have a link listed in your YouTube video, then we'll give you a percentage of the sale, or we'll pay you a flat fee to discuss our product in one of your videos. It has to be, like you have to talk about it for 90 seconds. Or some of them are like, will you just wear our product, or will you just feature it in the background? And some of them are contracts for an awful lot of money, a shocking amount of money. And as an anti-capitalist, I have, until this point in time, not taken any sponsorships. And now recently, I did decide to work with an organization called Drumbeat Labs. I asked my audience first if I should do this. And the reason that I said I wanted to do that is because I am making 1/12, it's actually less than that now, on TikTok from what I made a year ago. And this TikTok account that I'm filming on right now, 100% of my revenue from this TikTok account goes to charitable causes and mutual aid. And so the loss of that revenue meant I had to try and make up that money somewhere so I could continue to give to the ACLU and Doctors Without Borders and local GoFundMes and local food banks and my local Indivisible every single month. The loss of that revenue directly translated into less charitable giving for me. And I was like, I need to figure out how to pick up the slack. So I asked my audience, should I take a partnership with another organization? And overwhelmingly, 97% of respondents said yes, I should, that was worth it. But I'm really careful to only make videos on topics I would normally cover anyway. And every single video where I am partnering with Drumbeat, it will say very clearly, sorry, my kids are laughing. All my kids are home on Christmas break and they're having a good time in the living room. Okay, anyway, every single video that I make that is a collaboration where I could potentially get paid by Drumbeat, I say that very clearly in the video description. I disclose because I think that's really important. I want people to know that even if the opinions in the video are organically mine, and even though Drumbeat does not give a script for people to use, I'm still getting paid to talk about a certain subject that a nonprofit wants to have discussed. For example, I made a couple of videos about a lawsuit in Texas to get the 10 Commandments removed from schools. I made a video about the impact Donald Trump's tariffs are having on Christmas. Now, some of my Drumbeat videos, I have not gotten paid by them. They've been disqualified because I got too political, or my own personal opinion was like a little too spicy. And those videos are sponsored by 501c3, so I have to be careful not to like dunk on Republicans really hard in those videos, or I don't get paid. For me, at this point in time, that compromise is worth it. If they asked me to endorse a political candidate or a policy, I'm not going to come out and do that. I would never, ever, ever endorse a candidate because somebody paid me. It would be 100% my own organic opinion. I get paid for every 1,500 views for those sponsored videos if they meet the requirements. And that helps me be able to continue to fund my charitable giving. We're not talking crazy amounts of money here. And some of those young women in those videos, they may have been compensated $0 because they didn't get enough views. There's usually a minimum number of views you have to have before you will get paid out, unless you are taking a longer term contract. One of the contracts that I got pitched recently had the potential to be 6 figures for a 6-month contract. And to me, that's just like, that blows my mind that there's that much money sloshing around. As I said on Blue Sky the other day, because there is no requirement for people to disclose, unless it is specifically, like TikTok Shop or YouTube, there are specific requirements for disclosure when you are sponsoring a product. But TikTok is a little bit the Wild West. It's pretty sloppy over here. And there are an awful lot of creators that are getting paid to endorse a product or a service, and they're not being honest about that. It's a violation of federal law that they're not disclosing. But other organizations that influence people, probably like Drumbeat, but definitely like Chorus, whether they're working with nonprofits or they're working with political organizations, there's not the same requirement to disclose. And I think there should be. So what are your opinions? I would like to know. What would you put in a creator code of ethics? How would you feel if you knew a creator that you admired was getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars a month and you weren't sure which of their opinions were organically their own? How does that shape your perception? And what do you think should be done about it?